Nice. Okay, questions. Let's do this. For Boris, I want to see some better callouts. Work with your Genjis. Genji plus Zarya is very powerful. So make sure that, if he's Dragon Blading, facilitate that. Put a bubble on the Nano Blading Genji. It makes him so much stronger. Really, really good. And then don't be afraid to use Dragon Blade plus Graviton Surge. It's pretty much unstoppable. Any thoughts on how Zarya players can adapt to the coming Diva buff? You just got to kill the Divas more. You've got to be more... I mean, the bright side is, like... It's still probably easier than it used to be, because Diva is easier to kill. So you just kill the Diva now. The thing you've got to be careful of now is you cannot just, like, sneak as many Graviton Surges by her. She has to be away from you, and then you can try and do it and still try and minimize that flight time. Because if you're trying to lob them from, like, 3 miles away, she can just turn and pick it out of the air. Yeah, where did you get that hat? It's from the Overwatch store. It's from the Blizzard store. She's on that thing shooting was a Diva. Yeah, the thing is they didn't have a Diva, which is what confuses me. I think it was a Mercy pistol. And I think she ran away and hid inside. Our first point when we had the grav, I would just push high ground and grab him, agree? Yeah. So on this map, when you go high ground, is at this point. So when this is good enough. So you can see the payload is pushed out. It's at this point is when you go high ground. Because what high ground gives you is... fuck it, I'm just going to draw it on this. Fuck using paint. Okay, so bear with me. So when we're coming out of high ground, like, you have like a high ground path here, and you've got like the downstairs bit down here, okay? Got boxes here. You can jump up and go over. And then you have like the big drop down point. And then you have like the server room door over here. Terrible perspective, but you get the idea. So you have like a bunch of choices where you can try and get up onto here. The only issue with doing that is Junkrat will be spamming this way. Or you could all run server room, or you could just jump down. As Zarya, one thing I would look to do is probably get on top of this, and then just jump down onto the enemy team, and just grab my feet, and just grab up as many of them as I can. And then it just lets Genji just Dragon Blade through, cut, and everything is dead. Nice. Feels good, man. That would be my plan. How to avoid pre-bubbling people. Sometimes the enemy team will just be good at bubbling. The thing you've got to be aware of is Zarya requires very good battlefield sense, and when someone is pushing forward, just give them a bubble. Because it means either A, their push is going to just deal a bit more damage because the enemy team isn't shooting them, it means they're a bit safer, or B, the enemy team shoots them, gives you more charge. There's also something to keep in mind is there's a difference between like the 3 phases, so remember, building, maintaining, ult. Okay? When you're in building, you can be a bit more liberal. You want to be a bit more liberal with your bubbles. When you're in maintaining, you want to hold on to them for a little bit longer. See if Reinhardt wants to charge. If there's a Roadhog around, you definitely want to be holding them for the Roadhog. You want to be holding them for more important things. Just because you are not in any great rush to build up charge, you just want to take occasional damage. And honestly, your personal barrier can probably accommodate that. So you want to be using your projected barrier to keep people alive a bit better. Otherwise, yeah, you just have to have a good sense of like when people are moving out, how people are shooting. If Zarya was a Eurovision Song Contest entry, what would she be like? Russia's generally okay in the Eurovision Song Contest, isn't it? I think. It just, it doesn't get points from a number of allies because of the current political climate, but hey. I don't know. I think it's Eurovision Song Contest. Like, no one in England gives a fuck about it. We laugh at it. It's funny. I'm a terrible hit scan player, therefore I should learn Winston instead of Zarya for the current meta. Can't aim a beam well. That's the wrong attitude to have. Wrong attitude to have. If you like playing Zarya, learn to play Zarya. And also Winston's just very different in his purposes. Like Winston just is very, very dive based. He's very aggro. He's all about initiating and getting out safely, knowing how to position yourself to maximize the damage. Winston is very different in terms of his kit overall, so they don't fulfill the same roles. If you like playing Zarya, just practice playing Zarya. No one was born as an amazing hit scan player. No one was born with that skill. Some people might have a little bit more talent to begin with, but talent, get this idea out of people. I'm going to probably do a video on this on my 2 days off about, aiming better, and I want to kill the myth of talent. Talent is a fucking stupid idea, okay? What talent is it's a tiny inherent buff your ability to learn something. That's all talent is. It just gives you a head start. The talented people who are really good didn't get really good just because, oh yeah, no, I just picked up a mouse one day and I had 100% hit rate as Widowmaker. Not true. They had a slightly better hit rate as Widowmaker than their contemporaries. They practice, and then at the very high level, that little bit of a buff at the start puts them out a tiny bit ahead of people who aren't quite, who are pretty much on the same level. That's what talent gives you. What talent doesn't give you is like this inherent advantage. So if you aren't good at hit scan, start playing hit scans, learn hit scans. There's nothing stopping you. There is no reason why you cannot be a good hit scan player unless there is actually a medical reason why you can't be one, like you have RSI or you just have dodgy wrists or whatever, then sure, maybe okay. If you have medical reasons why, then maybe Winston's a better pick for you, but it's still tracking aim. It's just way more liberal. So if you want to learn Zarya, go learn Zarya. Aiming comes with practice and time, and you learn it. It's nothing special or new. When I type coaching, it says to include certain things in the name. Is there any certain format that makes it easy to find? Want to get the information you need? People are doing it right. People are doing it correctly. So, and it's just as it's described: hero name, rank, and if you're a Twitch sub or not, and then just have a bit of a description in the body. Obligatory ice cream questions. I think we did this before. I can't remember what I said for Zarya. I mean, Zarya would be like a protein, like a protein shake. It'd be like a frozen protein shake. Help you get your gains. That's what Zarya would be. What tanks pair well with Zarya in a two tank comp? Zarya basically pairs well with everyone, buddy. Zarya is really good with everyone. The reason why is Zarya just makes tanks tankier. Like, it makes them way harder to kill. She's good with Winston, as long as you bubble them going in, you don't overlap your own bubbles. She's good with Reinhardt because she can facilitate charges. Charging with the Zarya bubble on you against an enemy Reinhardt who doesn't have a Zarya is so much safer, so much safer. She's good with D.Va because she just makes D.Va that much more survivable. She can cover D.Va's time when her defense matrix is down, for example. She's good with Roadhog because she just stops people punishing the Roadhog so much. You bubble him, he hooks, and he gets a kill. Like, she's good with everyone. Zarya is just good as a hero. If no one on your team could play Reinhardt, is it better to go with an average Zarya as a main tank or a not so good Reinhardt? Can't you replace a main tank, basically? No. Only in certain comp styles. Like, if you're playing with Zarya as your main tank, you basically can't take it slow. You can't just push forward because the enemy team will just fucking destroy you because they're stood behind a 2,000 hit point barrier. None of them are taking damage. You're all taking damage. You lose. You have to push in super fast, super hard, and super coordinated, so you would have to run with like a Winston, and in that case then you kind of have a main tank because he's jumping and putting a bubble down, and that's facilitating your push. You can run, like in King of the Hill, for example, it's more common where you'll run a comp without a Reinhardt, in which case Zarya plus Roadhog is perfectly fine, Zarya plus Winston is really good, that kind of thing. But can you replace the Reinhardt? No, I would say no. Is there any map in which you advise to run another hero over Zarya? Zarya's always just been really good. Maps where Zarya is bad. I'd say maybe Gibraltar. Like, she's not great on attacking Gibraltar just because there's a lot of really long sightlines. So she's just not good at those long distances. And she can't cover the range very well. So in instances where you're trying to push this third point, like, if you think about the effective range of Zarya, a beam goes out to about here, our right clicks are probably effective to about here, and then they start getting very random. So when we're fighting distances of like from here to over here, it's not good, you know? We'd be better suited with something else. But she's still very effective. She can still set up big game-winning one-combos. So I wouldn't say Zarya's a map-based pick, she's just more a comfort pick, and she's just good. Whoops, need to delete that so I don't pick lines everywhere. How do you stop a good Zarya? McCree, very good. Just any source of burst damage. Don't get close to her, and then punish her if she does try to overextend. At a certain point, like when she's on floating like 80 to 100 charge, just stop respecting barriers as well. Just give a concise call over comms of like, what I tend to do if a Zarya is starting to snowball and dominate, you just say, okay, don't respect the barrier, next time she runs forward, just kill her. And then she runs forward, she puts a barrier, and it's like, haha, I have 200 more hit points. Oh, wait, I only have 600 total. I'm dead. Because everyone's just decided to focus her. McCree is very good at just abusing that and just like putting a flashbang on her when the barrier goes down so she can't run away, and then she just dies. That's the only really hard counter, I'd say. Otherwise, like, D.Va isn't a bad idea. You've just got to make sure you're playing behind the Reinhardt, play safely, and make sure she can't ult, and then go from there. I tend to use my Zarya ults defensively, i.e. stopping push. Is that the best use if there are combos up? Yes and no. Like, I mean, if you're defending, you want to use it to counter-engage. Like, the counter-engage Graviton Surge is fine if you have no other options, and they've already used, like, a sound barrier, which is the example we had earlier in the show. It's just a very good way of nullifying that power. And honestly, to kill an enemy team, you just need Zarya and Reinhardt. Like, you don't even need a Reinhardt ultimate. Reinhardt could just kill everything. So if you can make that work, then sure, it's fine. But you want to also be using them aggressively when you have a combo, because it just instantly wins you a team fight if the combo goes off, usually. So it's just like the cleanest possible fight you can have, because usually all 6 of you guys are up, you've used 2 ultimates, you've killed their entire team. Feels good, man. The only thing I'd say with, like, we didn't see it in this game, but Zenyatta is actually coming back into the meta, because Zarya is, and so Zenyatta is going to be looking to counter it. And you could do clever things like getting Genjis to Dragon Blade, and then Zenyatta should Transcendence, and then you can use a grab combo afterwards. Otherwise, just make sure you're breaking the Reinhardt barrier and then making sure that Anna can get a grenade in. And just tell Anna, they probably have Transcendence, so we're going to break the barrier, I'm going to grab and get the grenade in, and then we can kill everything. Oh, let's see. Is it ever better or appropriate to engage with Sound Barrier or Transcendence? It can be. Like I said, there's ways of forcing it. If you have an Anna, like the example I explained before, then it's good. Sound Barrier, honestly, can't stop you quite often. And it's like, to me, it will be a stupid idea to just hold on because they have a defensive ultimate. Them using the defensive ultimate, it's a win for them, but it's also kind of a win for you, because then they don't have a defense against what you're using next, which is, you know, should be available soon. Or you just start killing people anyway. Like, they've Transcendenced it and had missed the grenade. Okay, whatever. Fine. Back off and then push forward. And yet, like Ryan said, you're allowed to be shit. It's called experience. How to work with a D.Va in order to get charge. If the D.Va's on your team, like, whenever she dashes in, put a bubble on her, and if the D.Va has a habit of putting defense matrix up the second that you put a bubble on her, just say, yeah, D.Va, I'm bubbling you, just don't defense matrix during the bubble. Cheers. And then because she just has to let go of right mouse button, and then she'll take a bit of damage, and she can right mouse button again and rock it away, and she'll be perfectly safe. If D.Va is really bad at doing that, then bubbling her as she disengages is actually a really good way of gaining charge, because the D.Va turns and faces away, so they're shooting her in the bum, and she has no protection in the bum, so you can catch her then. It's really nice. Valk hit 1,000 subs. Nice. Congrats. I'm glad. Valk deserves it. He's a really good streamer. He's a really, really good streamer. What should I get Zarya for her birthday? The toy robot I got her for Christmas didn't go down well. No, it wouldn't. Get her a nice hat, like a nice Ushanka. Get us a teddy bear. She really likes Russian bears. A bear would be nice. Zarya is bad against Sombra ult. Zarya is amazing with a Sombra ult. Zarya is bad against Sombra in general. Sombra is actually really good against her. But if you have a Sombra on your team, holy shit, EMP plus Graviton Surge is just an instant teamfight win. Like, there's just nothing. Like, that's an insanely good combo. The thing is, you don't see Sombra these days anyway, so it's like, who gives a shit? When Sombra does come back into the meta, though, if they have a Sombra, if you've Gravitoned already and they EMP to try and counter it, you hide because you've lost 200 hit points, so you should be backing off. But the rest of your team could just be shelling out damage. No problem. When bubbling a charging Ryan, should you bubble him from the start of the charge or wait for it to hit the wall? During is the best. Especially when he picks up a target. It's just because Reinhardt's going to end up in a bad location, and while Reinhardt is charging, he is vulnerable. He can't barrier himself, he can't do anything, he can't move, he's locked in, so the enemy team should just turn and shoot the charging Reinhardt. So you bubble him during the charge, and then when the charge is over, he can barrier himself, and he's fine. And he can back up. So get priority over Zarya. It depends on what phase you're in. Phase 1, for example, you're doing such low damage that you should just be trying to assist, but damage isn't your priority because you deal so low damage at 0% charge. During phase 2, you definitely want to be prioritizing stuff like D.Va, punishing D.Vas who are being over-aggressive, because you are the only one who can. And so when you are shooting D.Va, that puts a timer on how long D.Va can actually do things. Otherwise, you should be trying to right-click clumps, and you should be trying to get rid of the enemy Reinhardt barrier. You should be near the front line. You shouldn't be flanking around looking for interesting things. The only other exception is when there is a Genji. Again, you can punish Genjis massively by making sure, like, if you think about how Genji survives, he dashes in, he fights, dodge. When Genji starts getting low, he puts a deflect up, and then he tries to disengage. What you are doing when you start focusing the Genji is he has to deflect earlier and then disengage earlier. So you're putting more of a time pressure on him and making it hard for him to do things. I don't have time to practice. I've never played an FPS before, but I'm very fast with keyboard reaction. Many do like to answer information. So I feel like not practicing hit scan and focusing on heroes like right could be beneficial. Makes sense. I'll never be top 500. Honestly, I'd still say, like, there's a lot of people in the same boat. There's a lot of people who come to Overwatch don't play FPS games. And honestly, if you are good with, like, using your abilities and good at position and strategy, Zarya can still carry you pretty fucking far while learning how to hold down left mouse button. Because honestly, the targets you're hitting, the only time you're going to be hitting a mobile target is Genji, and you just need to hover near him quite often, and you'll still be dealing enough damage to cause him problems. You know, you don't have to be top 500. So I think learning Zarya is perfectly fine for you, especially if you are really good with these. Zarya is an amazing hero. An amazing hero. You can have such a high impact on Zarya if you're good at those. How should you place yourself as Diva to stop her cutting out with a laser pointer of death, but still manage to kill her? You can't. Is the short answer. When they have a Zarya, you just want to be playing defensively behind the barrier and then staying the fuck away from Zarya, because she will win 1v1s. Unless her barrier is down, then you can start punishing her. And if you get into her, she's big and chunky enough that your shots will land and you might win the fight. But with the health debuff, it's so hard to beat her. You generally want to avoid it. Grav killer. Actually, this is something I want to talk about. Counter graviton surges. So when you're graved and the enemy team will runs in forward to grav, only counter grav if like their Reinhardt barrier is taking a pounding. Be very careful when doing desperation counter grabs. It can work when the enemy team will runs in and bunches up and then your team just fucking shreds them, but quite often they'll have a second ultimate already following up because they've initiated, so they already have the advantage in the team fight. If you think about fuck it, I'm gonna do it with a graph. Okay, if you think about damage output in a fight, so let's say the fight, do I have two colors? Yes, I do. I have multiple colors, so let's change color. So this is our team. No, let's start with their team. Okay, so we've got their team's damage output. It's 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, whatever, low. They grav. They should have something else, so it's probably going to do this for like a moment, and then something else is going to come in, and their damage output's going to do this. And then it'll round off. Okay? This is how I think, by the way. I think in graphs, because I'm a fucking scientist. Our damage output is basically the same graph, but it's going to be shifted slightly to the right. So our graph's going to come here, and then our follow-up, if we have one, is going to come here. And then by the time we get here, well, everyone's already fucking dead. Because this is time. So, you know, the point where we die, say here, then we never get to our full damage potential. We never get to kill them. Okay, so this is how to explain it in a graph. It's not, you know, 100% accurate, but you get the idea that counter graphs, you have to have something rapidly available to be able to stop this effect. Or they just fucked up on their engage and didn't have a proper follow-up. So, put me into a nice discussion there, hopefully. Would Zarya be better on attack or defense? She's honestly good on both. She's better on attack, I would say. On defense, you generally want to run a Roadhog, but right now you can still run triple tank of Reinhardt, Roadhog, Zarya. It's very powerful. She's just good on both sides. The thing with Zarya right now is that she's a bit slow. And on attack, there used to be a thing where Zarya is very good if you just need to make it to the end of the map, because she will just be like a fucking, you know, she will just claw you forward. Dunk, grab, 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 and you will just advance forward. You should be winning every fight you have a grab, basically. And so she will get you through the map, but she will do it relatively slowly compared to more DPS intensive comps, because Zarya builds ult charge, one of the slowest in the game, which is right because she has one of the most powerful. So yeah. How does Zarya interact with hacking? Hacking started, got bubbled, got hacked. That sounds like a 20 tick moment when you've bubbled the same time the hack is finished, and so the server hasn't registered it. It just sounds like a minor bug. Like you've done it at the same tick of the server, and then it's just gone through. I could play every pretty much. I could play every hero except Symmetra at a decent level. I don't know. I've seen your Mercy. You're the guy who picked Mercy or got stuck with Mercy and said, "How do I float?" Which hurts. Which like boggles the mind. Let's see. Questions directed at me. Have you considered what to do with all these sandwiches? Yes, I've got a list. I'll figure it out for next week, probably. It looks like there's no more questions. It's actually a good time for us to round up as well. So thank you for watching to the end. If you have watched to the end on YouTube as well, thank you everyone for joining me on Twitch. This has been Coaching the Many with Zarya. Hopefully some useful advice in here. Remember, 3 stages of Zarya. I will keep hammering this home. It's so important. Okay? Building, maintaining, ultimate. Use these 3 stages to your advantage. Think in these 3 terms. Am I building? Am I maintaining? Am I ulting? definitely focus on those. Okay. Otherwise, make sure you're sending me in footage. Because there's a patch coming up, might be a good idea to hold off a little bit until like after patch footage. I generally don't like to use footage from the previous patch, if that makes sense. Although the patch doesn't change too much, so it shouldn't matter too much. We'll see. Any heroes you're lacking? I'd like to do some more DPS at the moment. I've got like a lot of tracer footage that we could probably use next week. Some just full-time Winston footage would be okay, but don't try and like tailor it. Just don't send in footage that I've recently done. Is always the guide. Always the guide. Because yeah, I'm not like specifically hunting for things specifically. There's no magic formula to get picked for coaching the many. So definitely, if you want to send stuff in, send it into oamreviews@gmail.com. Include the hero name and the rank in the title, plus a little bit of a description. So, for example, this week we had some good descriptions, like Mr. Boris Pavlov saying, "This is my first game back after a 2-week break from the tank meta. Footage is from the Lunar patch. So I decayed 3k MR, 3k MMR, whatever. Love your input and advice, so on, so on. This game comes down to the wire, both in attack and defense. Despite having an engagement that refuses to communicate or switch. The reason becomes apparent at the end. Well, we didn't watch to the end, but whatever. And yeah, just like a little bit of a paragraph with text, and yeah, it helps me frame things and understand where you're coming from. Okay. And oh god, missed his advertising. Okay. Otherwise, thank you for watching the end. Feel free to come join us on Twitch chat. Show is a little bit better live than it is on YouTube, I am sure. And yeah, that's about it. Toodles.